Hey everyone, this is Towelliee with TGN and welcome to the Firelands. This is Alysrazor, Hardmode 25, man. Let's take a look at the tips here. Watch out for meteors, folks. It hits for 5 times your health pool. I will show you guys exactly what we do for meteors and how to handle them for the firestorm ability in this encounter. Assign 2 interrupts per ad during the air phase. Tanks, be aware of when your hatchling goes into a tantrum. Be a good mommy and blow a cooldown. Interrupt the ads while Alysrazor is on the ground. You don't want that channel to go for too long, or else she will not be on the ground for you to DPS enough and healers to get back their mana. Dodge the tornadoes. Holy hell balls. Dodge those tornadoes. Now, let's take a look at the encounter here. I started recording about after the first set of ads, so I apologize for that. Maybe I was too excited because we were almost going to down the boss and all this was happening. So basically, there's feathers on the ground. There's going to be an air phase where the range pick up the feathers, they follow her in the air around, they get some haste buff. That's boring. This is the good part right here. So there's a molten egg on the ground. It's going to turn into a hatchling eventually. It's going to turn into a voracious hatchling. And there's also that meteor on the ground that drops. Now that meteor can go either one of 8 directions. It's totally random where it goes. Now, the meteor, what you want to do is, the new ability in hard mode is Firestorm. Firestorm is basically, Alysrazor stands in the air and she does like this frontal cone AoE. It's kind of like the boss in Nax. You want to stand behind the ice tomb. You want to stand behind the meteor. Now, if the meteor hits the walls around the room, what's going to happen is the meteor shatters into pieces and it's going to, not be able to be used as a, ice block or a blockade for the firestorm. So what we do is we have range DPS the meteor wherever it goes, and then right as the firestorm is about to happen, look up, let's see where she is. Oh, there she is. And now you want to just kind of LOS behind the meteor. So, and also don't get hit by the meteor. The meteor hits you for like 500,000 damage. Now, this is what happens. There's going to be 3 meteor ad phases on the ground before you hit the tornadoes. Okay, for the first one, you want to kill the meteors. For the second one, you want to kill the meteors. By kill it, I mean kill it so that it stops in place for you to LOS. Now, the third time around, this is the third time right here that we're watching. We're not going to kill the meteors. We're going to let them hit the wall, and we're going to let them shatter. And you're going to see these little meteor mini balls roll around the ground. The reason we do this is because of the tornado phase. We don't want a meteor blocking us while we're in the tornado phase. That is very, very important. Now, for a tank, this fight is fun as fuck because you're doing so much damage in this fight that it's like, ah, yes, finally, World of Logs, we will make our mark. Same thing, you could say the same thing about the Lord Rylith spark tanking, but as you can see right there, we let the meteors hit the wall. They're going to roll around, and they're going to, eventually just blow themselves up. So we're about to hit the tornado phase. You want to make sure both hatchlings are down before the tornado phase. Now, tornadoes is where there is a lot of failure. That is where we failed a lot. So here we go. This is how I do the tornado phase. Basically, that's it. Just follow the tornadoes. When you're following one, you see one pass you on the right, go to the right side, follow it. Go to the right side and follow it. Go to the right and follow it. It's just a nice little, it's very repetitive, very easy. Now, once the tornado phase is done, Alysrazor drops to the ground, and she takes a shit ton more damage, and she gives healers back like 10% of their mana. Now, these ads are going to drop to the ground, the Blazing Talon Claw Sharpers, or whatever they're called. So you want to make sure they're totally interrupted. Alysrazor has an energy bar, okay? She has an energy bar. When that energy bar reaches 50%, she comes out of that phase and you have to DPS her. You need to interrupt ignition. What ignition does is it helps Alysrazor get closer to 50% energy. You don't want that. You want as much uptime on your DPS during this phase as possible. Once she hits that 50% energy mark, she goes into Berserko mode. One of the tanks, in this case myself, I tanked her first. Tanker, of course, facing away from the raid. Once you have 5 stacks of the debuff she gives you, the other tank will come in, heal taunt, scaler in this point. I run into the raid, so I get healed. We have the barrier up, and I'm going to pop my Divine Guardian. My raid wall, as you see, the Divine Guardian activated. So she's going to do a knockback that does 70,000 damage to me. So you can imagine what it does to the rest of the raid. And basically that helps negate a lot of the damage. So now we rinse and repeat. And that's basically the entire fight. I don't think there's much more to add in terms of strategy. These Blazing Talons initiates that are lying around, they have to have 2 interrupters assigned to them. Now, for the hatchlings in the tank, there's going to be 2 eggs that drop, okay? There's going to be a voracious hatchling that comes out of it. Now, the voracious hatchling will imprint themselves on the first person they see, which should be you. Now, obviously, your tanking rotation is very, very important in this phase. Now, you're basically acting like a mommy here. You're basically like a mom or a dad. The hatchling is a little baby. If the baby doesn't get fed, it goes into a fucking tantrum and rips your face open. So basically you have to kind of time it correctly so that when the satisfied buff goes off, you're already kind of kiting your ad to the next worm. There's only 4 worms, 1 ad, 2 worms per ad. As you can see here, I was taking the 2 worms on the purple and red side, while Scalar was taking the ads on the total opposite side. Now, what also happens during the second time around, the second, I guess, ground phase, is the boss's firestorm happens quicker. So you're going to be caught with the voracious hatchling still up, is what's going to happen. The voracious hatchling is still going to be up. And you want to make sure that you get a life grip. You call out for it. If you're a tank, make sure you call out your cooldowns for tantrum. I know I wiped a few times because, well, one was for a retarded meteor hit, and the other was because, you know, I let my hatchling go to tantrum, and I got smoked. I mean, if you look at the damage coming in, they hit you pretty hard. Now, what you want to do is with the hatchling, you just have to time it perfectly so that the hatchling is near, like as you can see here, I'm going to kite it toward the worm. The minute it gets, I think, within 5 yards of the worm, it'll go and it'll eat the worm, and then it'll be satisfied. As you can see right there, I was in a tantrum. He turns into a big, voracious baby hatchling, and you have to be a good mommy to daddy. I'm a daddy dwarf. I'm like a pedo daddy dwarf hatchling person. Also, the brush fires on the ground, you don't want to stand in them. Myself and, you know, others, of course, were guilty. But, you know, sometimes I see that brush fire and I'm like, oh, I'm such in an awesome position right here tanking this bird. I don't really want to move. So for the firestorm, there you go. You look up really quick. You see where Alysrazor is. And then you kind of just stand behind your meteor that you DPS down, of course. And that's the entire fight. But any guilds with paladin tanks during this fight, I would strongly suggest that you use your 2-piece. Now, I'll let you know what my 2-piece looks like when I'm DPSing this voracious hatchling right here. Let's see. Come on out. Come to Papa. Come to Papa. Venga aquí, mi amor. And there we go. So when I shield right there, you see that little consecration that hit for 34,551? I'll show it again with a bigger hit here. Come on. Let me get a Sacred Duty proc. Honestly, the damage you do as a tank is very RNG. Dependent on your Sacred Duty procs. I mean, there you go. See that 96,687? That's what happens. Your 2-piece for prot is whenever you use your Shield of the Righteous, you do 20% more of that damage as fire. So that fire damage is, on a 500,000 hit is doing like 100,000 damage extra. Also, make sure your druids are assigned to refreshing and giving thorns on the tanks. Now, people are asking, Towelliee, this whole entire time you're hitting this fucking hatchling for like 500,000, 600,000, you know, 300,000 Crusader strikes. Well, what happens is once the hatchling imprints on you, he gives you a debuff that makes you do what is it? It's 1,000% more damage to the hatchling. So that's why the tanks are doing so much damage. I think at the end of the fight, I had like 104K damage done to the fight, or to the birds, which is pretty cool. But right here, once you get past this second air phase and down to this phase, you basically have the whole entire fight down pat. I mean, that was basically our roadblock, was having people survive those firestorms during the second time around, because the firestorms came quicker. And there we go. Don't let those ads cast Ignition, Blazing Talon, Claw Shaper. The Ignition, once again, allows Alysrazor to get to 50% more energy quicker, having her go up into the into her, you know, rape Towellee's face mode quicker, and we don't want that. So make sure your interrupts are there. Make sure you're actual interrupters on the initiates are there as well. If any one of those casts go off from the initiates, it's probably going to be a death, and more than likely it's a goddamn tank that gets it, like me. So here we go. I stack back with the group with the power barrier, pop my raid wall, Divine Guardian is activated for 6 seconds, knock back, a lot of damage is going to be mitigated from that. Boom, look at that. The whole entire raid was basically up the entire time. At this point, we knew the boss was going to go down. But once again, rotation is very important. I myself could have improved a lot better. I actually did improve a lot on my DPS on Alysrazor throughout our attempts. It's because sometimes it's a little weird moving and trying to do a shit ton of DPS at the same time. So it kind of just felt like, honestly, you just have to get into a groove. If you're a tank, you got to get into a nice groove. Here's going to be a big hit. It's like an Inquiboom. Nice. Now, with those flame torrents as well, you don't want to get hit by those flame torrents. As you can see right there, I kind of found a nice little sweet spot so that I don't have to get hit by the torrents. I kind of just stand in the middle of the two and don't get hit at all. But those brush fires, try to avoid them as much as possible. They hit for like 30, 40K. It's not that crazy if you mistakenly, run through one to get to the other worm. But right here, if your bird goes into a tantrum like it did, then you're basically, fucked. But that should be it for this fight, and it only took about 2 nights of progression, so I was really happy with how fast we downed the boss. Right here, boss is about to go down. What is it, like 6%? It's a really long fight. You got to have patience. You got to have, just enough, I guess, non-retards to down this boss. I mean, it took a while. We had so many people dying to tornadoes, and tornadoes is obviously like the easiest thing to dodge. But people were still dying to tornadoes. People were still dying. I was still dying to, like, tantrum. I was still dying to getting hit by... Like, for 2 attempts in a row, this fucking meteor just followed me everywhere I went, and I couldn't get away from it, and I fucking died. I almost, like, broke my keyboard. I went to, like, a super... Like, right there, like, the meteor just started following me. It's like, hey, look, it's Towelliee. I'm going to follow you. I'm like, no! But... make sure, like I said, you have 2 interrupters for all the adds in the ground on the air phase right here with the initiates. Make sure the tanks are interrupting the claw shapers while all the DPS are just beating the shit out of Alysrazor. Make sure your tanks blow their cooldowns for tantrum. Once you have that done, once you dodge tornadoes, once you're able to LOS the firestorm and know where it is, basically we were responsible for knowing when to LOS firestorm. Like, we didn't have DPS with a marker on them so we can follow them. We just had to know where the fuck Alysrazor was. Myself, I would just look up momentarily and do the killing. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I enjoyed this fight. This is probably one of my favorite hard modes next to probably Bethtalak at this point. Ballarak is going to be our next fight. That's going to be insane. I heard that, there's going to be... I heard it's like a major DPS check, and... I can only say that I'm really, really excited about that fight. That'll be my next hard mode video. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This has been Towelliee with TGN. Visit my YouTube, youtube.com/Console Crusaders, my personal, recently partnered. Justin.tv/Towelliee is my live stream. Come on down to the live stream, folks. We have like 1,000 people watching me doing hard modes. 1,000 people. We're usually the most watched channel for the gaming category under Cataclysm during raid nights. Too bad I don't need that conch chest. Come to my personal website, Towelliee.com. HolyShield.com will now just go to Towelliee.com. It's made it a lot easier for people to know where to find me from my personal, homepage. Oh, shit. Facebook.com/Towelliee. Twitter.com/TowelTheTank. Oh, I'm teabagging that bird face, baby. Teabagging that bird face. Alysrazor, how do you like the dwarf dingleberries? D2, double D's in your mouth. Yeah. That's how she would sound like if she actually, were to sound like a retarded bird. Thanks, folks. Peace out.